Super Mario Odyssey is the most open world out of all the Super Mario games, and as with all open world games, the world itself is the most important aspect of the game. If a game has a boring world, it probably is a boring game. Super Mario Odyssey is definitely the opposite of that, as it has many creative, exciting worlds that are so much fun to explore. Almost every kingdom in Super Mario Odyssey, for me, is a great experience to play on, but some kingdoms rise above the rest. That's what I'm going to be looking at today, as I rank all 17 kingdoms in Super Mario Odyssey. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to this channel, and let me know in the comments what you think the best and worst Super Mario Odyssey kingdoms are. Now,
Let's go!
into the rankings. Now, at number 17, we have the Metro. Just kidding, it's definitely the Cloud Kingdom. The Cloud Kingdom is mostly just an arena that allows Mario to have his first fight with Bowser. And, well, that's just about it. The boss fight is very similar to the final boss fight at the end of the game, so the fight is not that interesting or unique. The rest of the kingdom is almost nothing, but there are a couple of bonus moons you can get. There is some fun to be had here. The boss fight is pretty fun, as well as the bonus moons. But the environment is bland, and so is the gameplay, so it doesn't nearly compare to the better kingdoms in this game. Most of you probably knew this one was going to be very low as well. The Ruined Kingdom is very similar to the Cloud Kingdom in its purpose, which is mainly to host a boss battle and house the minor power moons. The two main things that set the Ruined Kingdom apart from the Cloud Kingdom are the creativity and the environment. The boss fight in the Ruined Kingdom is not against Bowser, but a giant dragon, where you have to avoid his electric shocks and remove his crown to ground pound his head. This is, in my opinion, more creative than just having a boss fight in the Cloud Kingdom that is almost the exact same as the final boss. The kingdom also has this dark, creepy feel that honestly doesn't belong in a Super Mario game. I mean, imagine this in Super Mario 64. But it's still really cool and looks great. Wow, another boss fight kingdom is ranked fairly low on this list. You have to unlock the dark side by getting a certain number of moons, so this is a spoiler I guess, but I would be very surprised if you didn't know about this kingdom and are watching this video. Anyway, the main purpose of this kingdom is to fight all the Brutals in a sequence. There are also a fair bunch of other minor moons you can get, and it's cool that this takes place on the moon, but other than that, it really isn't too interesting. If I have all the power moons in the game, I wouldn't really have a reason to come back here when so many other kingdoms are better to explore. It serves its purpose as a boss fighting kingdom well, but not too much else. The Cap Kingdom is, of course, the very first kingdom you'll visit in your playthrough of Super Mario Odyssey, which means it's fairly basic. The first time you'll go through this kingdom, it's mostly introducing the controls and taking you up to the boss fight with Topper. After that, you'll go through the kingdoms to the end of the game, but then kind of realize, oh great, now I have to go back to the Cap Kingdom to get more moons. There are some fun moons here, but the world isn't all that exciting to explore like many other kingdoms in the game. So, the Cap Kingdom is a big step up from the Dark Side and the other boss fight kingdoms, but still doesn't compare to most of the other kingdoms in Super Mario Odyssey for me. Here's another kind of spoiler kingdom that you have to unlock, similar to the Dark Side. However, this isn't a boss fight kingdom, it's essentially a giant, difficult, linear level that is kind of like the conclusion to the game. So, it includes many things you have encountered previously in the game, and is a great test of your skills. Now, the darker side does only have one multi-moon, which you have to get at the end of the level, and nothing else, but I still think it's better than many of the other kingdoms just because of how exciting it can be to play, and it is fairly unique compared to most of the other levels in Super Mario Odyssey, since it is more linear than normal. This is probably the first major kingdom on my list, since I don't really count the Cap Kingdom. The Snow Kingdom is definitely a fun kingdom, better than the previous 5 I mentioned, but I never really liked it that much, especially at the beginning, which features a giant snowstorm that makes it hard to see and navigate. The rest of the level is okay, nothing really stands out that much to me. The most exciting thing in this kingdom is the Bound Bowl race, which is okay, but there are definitely many better things than that. The Snow Kingdom, for me, is not too interesting in general, but don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of fun to be had, but that's true with the entire game. It's pretty much inevitable that a Super Mario game has a water-themed level, and I don't like them that much almost every time. Lake Kingdom is definitely a lot better than most water-themed levels in the Super Mario series, since a good amount of it does take place above water, and you can capture fish to swim faster, but it still isn't as good as the levels that mainly take place above water. I also don't think the underwater section is that interesting to explore. like it is in the Seaside Kingdom, which I'll get to in a bit. For me, the Lake Kingdom is another okay kingdom. You could say that the Cascade Kingdom is the first full kingdom of Super Mario Odyssey, since it's a lot bigger than Cap Kingdom, which is more of an intro kingdom. Anyway, since it's one of the first kingdoms, you wouldn't expect it to be quite as good as many of the bigger kingdoms in this game, like Bowser's Kingdom, Sand Kingdom, and Metro Kingdom. However, I think Cascade Kingdom looks really nice, and has some cool areas to explore. However, like I just mentioned, there are still many more kingdoms that are bigger and more interesting for me. If you're just playing Super Mario Odyssey to the end of the final Bowser fight, Moon Kingdom will be the last kingdom you explore. It's a pretty cool concept to have a Mario level on the moon. I know there are 2 other levels on the moon, but this is really the main one. The anti-gravity effect is fun to play around with, and there are some fun moons here. Of course, I also have to include the underground section in the final Bowser fight when talking about the Moon Kingdom. The underground is a great contrast to the relatively peaceful above ground section, and is a great challenge. The final Bowser fight is also a lot of fun, but the best part by far is when you get to become Bowser and run through the level while it's being destroyed. To me, the Lost Kingdom has one of the most interesting aesthetics in Super Mario Odyssey. It has interesting, unique enemies, colorful plants and landscape, and mysterious lighting and music. It also has some fun moons to complete. One other unique thing is that the Lost Kingdom doesn't really have a major boss fight or specific allies that live there, like much of the other kingdoms. This makes it feel more like you're the only one playing in the level. Overall, this is a great, mysterious, and unique stage, which is why I put it above many other kingdoms in Super Mario Odyssey. The Luncheon Kingdom is another kingdom with a unique aesthetic because this is a kingdom entirely themed around food. It also feels like one of the bigger kingdoms in the game, even if it isn't, since you have to travel around a giant volcano to get to other parts of the kingdom. Much of why I rank this kingdom relatively high is because of its food-themed environment, which allows for things like battling a giant bird, pan-throwing hammer bros, and characters shaped like forks. There are also some great moons here, like most of the kingdoms in Super Mario Odyssey. I guess this kingdom is also a spoiler, but if you're watching this video, you probably know all the kingdoms anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Mushroom Kingdom. This is unlocked when you defeat Bowser, and is a great callback to past Mario games, most obviously Super Mario 64. It includes the castle from Super Mario 64, along with some of the interior and the courtyard when you buy the Super Mario 64 skin. It also includes some moons, although there are less since this kingdom is more of a reward for completing the game. Of course, I really like this kingdom because of the references to Super Mario 64 and how it is pretty fun to explore. The only major downside is that it makes me really want Super Mario 64 in HD on the Switch, but that's probably never going to happen, sadly. I have always really liked the Seaside Kingdom, and much of that has to do with how much I love the beach theme. Much of this kingdom is a water level, which I have stated before that I don't like that much, but I think this does it right. The Seaside Kingdom still has many moons above water, and the ones below water are fun as well, since the water usually isn't too deep. The music and theme, especially when it's during the evening, makes the level feel very relaxing and enjoyable to play. In my opinion, the Seaside Kingdom is a water level done right. The Sand Kingdom, in my opinion, is the first really good kingdom in Super Mario 64 when playing in order, since it's the first really big kingdom, taking place right after the Cascade Kingdom. This kingdom is, of course, set in a desert that has a town, oasis, ancient ruins, and more. This is another level with a lot to explore, especially in the town, pyramid, and ancient ruins. Riding the Jacksie can also be a lot of fun, since you go really fast across the desert. I also love searching the town and ruins for hidden moons. This kingdom does a really great job of introducing you to how great Super Mario Odyssey can be. The Wooded Kingdom is another kingdom that, to me, feels a lot bigger than it actually is. This is because this features many tall structures that have hidden areas inside of them, with different ways to get to them. This makes playing in the Wooded Kingdom a unique experience every time. I think it's also a pretty cool idea to combine natural things like the flowers and trees with technology, like the metal structures and robots. Overall, I think this is one of the most interesting kingdoms in Super Mario Odyssey, and a lot of fun. When a kingdom is named Bowser's Kingdom, you might think it's just where the final boss takes place, but it is really an amazing standalone kingdom that has its own unique theme and fun moons. I also love the exploration aspect of this course, since it seems like there are so many hidden parts to it that lead to moons or sub-areas. This level also is separated into multiple parts that you travel to with pylons, which makes the level feel even bigger. This kingdom also features a boss fight with a giant robot Brutal at the end, which is a lot of fun. Overall, this is one of the most well-made, fun, and cool-looking levels, with the Japanese theme and music. However, there is still one kingdom which, in my opinion, is just a little bit better. You guys probably saw this coming, and it's definitely not an unpopular opinion at all that the Metro Kingdom is the best kingdom in Super Mario Odyssey. It's the biggest kingdom in the game, and is themed around a big city, more specifically New York City, which of course means there are tons of skyscrapers for you to explore. Many of them include sub-areas inside them, and you can also go to the top of the skyscrapers and find different ways to climb up them. This kingdom also includes a festival section which features 8-bit gameplay and the game's signature song, Jump Up Superstar. As an added bonus, there is a very fun glitch in the park, where if you capture a letter in a certain way, you can go out of bounds and make all kinds of crazy things happen. This kingdom is extremely well made, interesting, unique, and most importantly, fun. What's not to love? Those are all the Super Mario Odyssey kingdoms ranked from worst to best, according to my opinion. If you enjoyed, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. If you have some different opinions about Super Mario Odyssey kingdoms or ideas for future videos, comment down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you next video or live stream. Bye!